another week of JDnFerg, part 2 of our AFC East breakdown that we got going on. Today, we're doing Buffalo Bills and, of course, the New York Jets. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the Bills. And first, before we get started, I just want to know, Super Mario, will he make a super difference on this defense?
Definitely. The guy's a monster. When he's healthy and he's on the field all the time, you know, he's got quarterbacks fearing. The guy that's got to, cover him, stop him from getting a quarterback, they're fearing. The guy's a beast. He's definitely going to make a difference.
And for a defense that was very opportunistic last year, he's going to have to, because at points when the defense did good last year, they also had points where they were darn right atrocious. And you can tell that just by their defensive ranks alone. They were 30th in points allowed at 27.1. 26th in total yardage allowed at 371.1 per game. 19th against the pass at 232.1. And they were 28th against the rush, allowing 139 yards per game. That's going to have to change. They need to solidify that defense heavily.
No doubt.
Their offensive ranks, not as bad. They were about middle of the pack. They were 14th in points at 23.2. They were also 14th in total yardage at 351.5 a game. 15th in the pass, 231.4. And then 13th with the rush at 120.1 per game. So middle of the pack in most areas. Could improve, but if they improve on that defense just a little bit more, you could see a better turnaround this next year.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think Super Mario is going to have one hell of an effect on that defense. They don't have to be so opportunistic, and they'll have, with some of the other guys that they picked up, they'll actually have a defensive line. So let's break down their touchdowns to start this off with. 12 rushing touchdowns, 24 passing touchdowns, 1 punt and kick return touchdowns, and 6 defensive touchdowns. Hence the reason why they were so opportunistic. Yes, their stats sucked, but man, when you're getting 6 touchdowns on the defensive side, that helps out a hell of a lot. Now, they also allowed 23 sacks while getting 29 sacks. That's pretty decent. I mean, actually, it's one of the lowest allowed sacks for a team in the NFL. Good job on that one. So why wasn't their offense better? We'll get into that a little bit. Turnover ratio was a +1. At least it's plus. Some of the offseason people they picked up, they signed Vince Young as a backup quarterback, not bad. Mark Anderson, defensive end, to go on the other side of Super Mario. I actually like that a lot. Both those guys got 7 years experience. I think it'll help that line out huge, huge. You know, last year, Mark Anderson ended up with 10 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. You know, Super Mario, he played what, just a couple games last year, got injured. Roughly about 5 games, don't know right off the top of my head. He ended up with 5 sacks and 1 forced fumble. You get both those guys healthy throughout the entire course of the season, that's a damn good upgrade to a defensive line that extremely needed it. A couple of their free agencies that they re-signed. Fred Jackson, Byron Scott, Kirk Morrison, Scott Chandler, Stevie Johnson, and the kicker, Ron Lindell. I like him. And one of their loss was Datron Florence. Didn't know how I felt about that. I actually kind of like Florence.
Well, you would think for a defense that allowed so many passing yards, they either one, saw that he was getting older and didn't want to keep trying him, or 2, had something in waiting that they wanted to kind of grow and develop and give a shot to try out this next year.
I agree. Why don't we just get into that part of it? This is what the Buffalo Bills did in the draft. Their first and second picks, not too shabby at all. Their first round pick was Stephen Gilmore. He's a cornerback out of South Carolina, 6 foot, 190. This guy was pretty... He was in my top 10, top 20 in the entire draft for this year's draft. This guy, he looks good. He is solid player. Coming out of South Carolina isn't the most awesome of conferences, but it's not bad. Last year he ended up with 4 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack, 1 punt block. And he was awesome on the punt and kick return and had a pretty dang decent average. Didn't get too many punt and kick returns, but he actually had a pretty decent average for, you know, what he did do. So, this guy's got massive amounts of potential. Massive amounts. He'll be a starter as soon as he walks onto the field. He's fast as heck. His 40 in the combine, 4.4. Flying. It's pretty good. Their second round pick, Cordy Glenn. He's a tackle out of Georgia. 6'5", 345. Big boy. He'll definitely shore up one of those ends for the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, whoever it may be. I had to say it, I'm sorry, but it's funny. And one of the other ones that I wanted to mention that I kind of am torn on was their 4th round pick. He's a cornerback, Ron Brooks. He's coming at LSU. He's only 5'10", 190, which I think 5'10" is why he got such a one of the reasons why he got such a low grade. He ended up with a grade of 69. He was with LSU, one of the biggest colleges last year, if you watch college. This is some of his stats last year. 2 interceptions. Both interceptions went back for a touchdown. 3.5 sacks. 2 forced fumbles. I don't need to say anything else. And, I will though. He ran a 40 and a 4.37. His vert is a 38-inch vert. Yeah, for being such a 5'10" guy, short guy, 38-inch vert is pretty dang nice for being so short. This guy, I actually had him ranked in my top 20 as well. They had him, I don't even know if they had him ranked in the top 100. That's all I'm saying. I like this guy, so keep your eye on him. Keep your eye on him, Ron Brooks. Remember I said it. You know, their needs were offensive lineman, linebacker, cornerback, wide receiver, and a quarterback. They filled all their needs.
Between draft and free agency, they did manage to cover everything that they needed. Most recently with Vince Young, who has acknowledged the fact that he will just be a backup.
Yeah, he will.
Now, Fitzpatrick's touchdown to interception ratio needs to come down a little bit, though, because I think he only managed to throw like 2 touchdowns more than he did interceptions, or something along that line. Something that needs to improve. He's shown the potential to be able to get the ball down the field. I think his biggest problem is that he likes to throw it deep too many times.
I agree.
Moving on now to the New York Jets, I just have to ask, does Tebow time happen? I know it's going to be a question on a lot of people's minds, and I know a lot of people have been down on Mark Sanchez, but looking at his stats, he did throw for 3,474 yards. He passed for 26 touchdowns, and he did throw 18 interceptions, but at a 78.2 passer rating, you got to look at the fact that, okay, he threw, 1 less touchdown than Phillip Rivers even, but he did also throw 2 less interceptions. So, does it become Tebow time at some point in this year, or do you think that Sanchez steps up to the plate and does some phenomenal things for that offense?
I love the question, and I'm going to throw you a curveball right back. And this is what I mean by this. Sanchez will be the quarterback for the New York Jets the entire season. Tebow may come in on a few punt kick returns, may come in on a few wide receiver plays, a few running back plays, and may even get to try to throw a ball once or twice. But for the majority of the time, Mark Sanchez is your quarterback. I don't care how bad Mark Sanchez does, he's going to be the quarterback.
All right.
So, Tebow time will come out, and he's going to do a heck of a... when he comes out and he does his little thing, he's going to do pretty dang good. He's going to do a great time because that's just Tebow. It's in his making.
All right, and looking at the offensive ranks and defensive ranks for their team. Offensive ranks, they were 13th in points at 23.6 per game. 25th in yards at 311.8. 21st in the pass at 206. And 22nd in the rush at 105.8. Defensive ranks, 20th in points, 22.7 per game. 5th in yards allowed, though, which is not bad. 312.1 total yards. 5th in the pass, 201. And 13th in the rush at 111.7. So they weren't that bad on the defensive side of the ball. Kind of. 20th in points.
That's kind of rough. That's kind of rough. but the rest of it's pretty dang decent. I like it. Let's break down their touchdowns even a little bit more. Rushing touchdowns, 14. Passing, 26. Punt and kick return, 1. Defensive, 4. Here's another reason why I think Sanchez had some minor issues last year. They allowed 40 sacks. Ow, man.
I'd be hurting.
Yeah. What do you expect out of your quarterback if you're going to allow 40 sacks? Come on. And on the defensive side, they still ended up getting 35. So, they allowed more than they got. It's not good. Turnover ratio, a -3. We're into the negatives again. Not good. Let's break down some of the signings, re-signings, and losts. Signings. Tim Tebow, obviously. Position, all.
Whatever fits at the time.
Right?
We'll throw him in.
One of the other pickups I really liked was LaRon Landry. Really liked that guy when he came out. He's always been kind of a real sturdy guy back there. He's going to do awesome for the Jets. He's going to fit into their system very nicely, I think. And that's going to be one heck of a defense to try to pass against this year. Re-signings. Aaron Mabum. I like him. Nick Folk. How can you not love him?
Right?
Now, those two, that's all I'm going to mention for now, but those two are beasts. You know, you're signing beasts. So far, we got 4 great pickups. The one loss, LT. It's the only one worth mentioning. And with that being said, he was the 3rd rusher on that team. And another reason why Sanchez didn't do so well is because they tried to rush a lot. Didn't work out so well.
Sean Green did manage to pass the 1,000-yard barrier, but that was the only person rushing, and that's going to be hard on your runner when people already know, okay, this is the only guy on their offense able to run the ball.
Completely
we know
agree.
who to shut down when they're on the field.
Exactly. And that's basically what it boiled down to. When he came on the field, you almost knew that they were going to rush. Hey, it's, you know, you're projecting what you're about ready to do. Come on, Rex.
Do you think Rex Ryan makes another Super Bowl prediction this year? It hasn't worked out too well for him in the past.
I don't think he's going to make a Super Bowl prediction about his own team. But I don't think he's going to make one about any other team either. So, anyways, on their draft, their first 2 draft picks were freaking monstrous. Quentin Coples, defensive end, North Carolina. Man, that guy's a freaking animal, dude.
But he is considered a risk-reward
Yeah,
type player because they say his work ethic.
I'm going to take that risk. Because this guy could literally be another Super Mario if he put the time in, time served, time played. Super Mario in the making.
Discipline him.
Discipline him.
Look at me.
And one of their second round pick was a wide receiver, Stephen Hill. My God. This guy's a freaking animal too. If you needed a wide receiver, this was the man to get. 49ers, why'd you pass him up? That was my prediction. Anyways, let's move it on. In the combine, this guy was a beast in almost everything. The 40, he had the fastest 40 out of all wide receivers with a 4.36 flying. Vert, 39.5. Wow. Long jump, 11.1. God, this guy's monstrous. Quick little college breakdown on this guy. It's just animal. He played 3 years. He came into the combine as a junior. His senior year, he caught 28 passes for 820 yards with almost a 30-yard average. He ended up with a 29.29 average, 5 touchdowns on 28 catches. Now, in that 3 years that he played, his first year he played for Georgia Tech, Demaryius Thomas was on that team, and he was their number 1 wide receiver, and then he got drafted that year as well. So in the 3 years that this guy was on Georgia Tech, only caught 49 passes. He got 1,248 yards. That's an average of 25.5 yards per catch. My God. Get the ball in that man's hands because he is devastating. And another one I liked was the running back, Terrence Ganaway, sorry. I always screw that name up. But this guy's got some serious potential too. Give him maybe a year or two, but he'll be coming out blazing. I just wanted to kind of mention that guy, just a little tidbit. Other than that, you know, decent. They had another strong safety in that one. I don't know if he's going to get any game time after they just picked up LaRon. They may actually put Antonio Allen, which is the guy they picked up in the draft. They may put him as a maybe strong safety, and LaRon is LaRon Landry as the free safety. LaRon, he's pretty good at that free safety thing.
We'll have to see how things go for them in the training camp. And real quick, in closing, I just wanted to mention while we're still in the AFC East that Miami Dolphins will be doing Hard Knocks this season. Good or a bad thing? You know, people are going to be looking at the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking to see if Reggie Bush is going to hold true to his promise of having a better year than he did last year, since it was his first 1,000-yard season. And, you know, everybody's going to wonder, even if they do have a quarterback, are they going to have enough wide receivers to get the ball around? So that's going to be a big thing for them.
I think it's funny that they're on the Hard Knocks because that's literally the truth of it. Because that team needs some Hard Knocks to get their stuff together. Because, man, you know, I don't want to be mean. You know, I'm trying to be, you know, copacetic on all sides. But man, they're gonna have some Hard Knocks this season because they are lacking in people. They need to fill some positions. They need to improve a lot. That's all I'm going to say on that. But it's literally going to be the Hard Knock for sure.
Some real Hard Knocks would be if Ryan Tannehill's wife appears on the show a lot more too. But closing out of the AFC East, tune in next week for the AFC North. And until then, subscribe, share, and show that you care.